Okay, so my name is Jordan, and this is my screencast on my community thematic unit for third grade. So I've been asked, how did you come up with the idea of community and using that as a theme? And the answer is I really just focused on the third grade Common Core essential standards for each subject area. And I thought it would be easier to build upon a standard or a set of standards that might be harder to meet and to shape to fit other themes. So I looked at the social studies standards for third grade, and they really revolve around communities and citizenship and all the stuff that goes along those lines. So I came up with the social studies theme of community. Here is my color-coded tree map that I use for planning, and it just has a bunch of lesson ideas for each subject area. It's funny looking back at this after completing all of my lessons because I realized that some ideas I did not use and some I did. So it's just interesting to look and see what all I used and what all I didn't. This is my pre and post assessment. For the pre and post assessment for this unit, the pre and post are the exact same thing. I just wanted to do this so there are no surprises for students. They're being tested on the same material in the same exact way. So a student that takes this test the first time should know exactly what to expect when they take it the second time. And the questions on this test really focused on meeting the goals set in the social studies essential standards for third grade, such as what a community is, the different types of communities, understanding community helpers, understanding how citizens impact their communities and rights citizens have in their communities. And all of these standards were covered in the lessons that I put in my unit. One question that we talked about in class the other day was, what would I do if a student made 100% on the pre-assessment? How would I make measures to help or to reach that student, because they obviously know the material already? And I thought that a good idea would be to assign them with a research project that researches the actual community that they live in, and to figure out stuff about its past and how it came to be and stuff like that. And another question that we addressed in class was if a student scored 50% on both the pre and post assessments. And I thought it would be a really good idea to compile a portfolio of all the students' work throughout the unit, and then that way the teacher can see if the student maybe just learned the material or didn't test well or just really didn't learn the material at all. So those were kind of the answers to those questions that I had. So here's part of my scopal sequence. I'm not going to take the time to read all of these to you. You can see that most of the social studies standards are talking about regions and characteristics and communities and elements of communities, and also how citizens contribute to their communities. For writing, we did writing about narratives, opinions. We did developing topics with facts and definitions. For reading, the main reading standard that we used was can students ask and answer questions to demonstrate they understood what they just read. And also they needed to be able to describe characters in a story and how the characters' actions contribute to the events. Here's the last part of my scopal sequence. For math, my main focus in this unit was multiplication and division. There's a lesson where they had to use arrays to create a community parking lot with a certain number of cars in it. For science, this science was tricky for this unit. I did land features in community gardens such as plants and stuff like that. For art, they actually will create a diorama of their community. That's like the end lesson. And you can see there are other art standards and physical education guidance standards that were used. So where did we begin? My lesson began with social studies. I decided that it would be good for students to begin with the different types of communities and characteristics of the types before they went out and started looking at deeper things about communities such as citizens and stuff like that. So in the first lesson, they talk about urban, rural, and suburban communities. And in that lesson, students will actually create like a flat book that illustrates and describes the 3 different types of communities. For math, my favorite math lesson in this unit is a lesson where students have to use the concept of area to design a community garden. You can see right here on the right is the worksheet that they will use, and it lets them plot out garden plots like you see in the picture below and label them, but they also have to calculate the area of each plot and then the area of the total garden, which I thought it was really neat. And it made me really excited. I think I would love to teach this lesson. So going off of the community garden theme, I decided that students should be able to plant their own community garden inside the classroom while studying how certain plants can regenerate themselves and grow from scraps of themselves. So students will plant lettuce leaves, celery bottoms, potato peelings, and pineapple tops to see how they regenerate and grow over time. As you can see, on the right here is a piece of celery, a celery bottom that has actually been sitting in water and has grown roots, and on the left is a pineapple top that has done the same. And after these roots are prominent enough, you can actually plant these in dirt and it will grow more celery or more pineapple. But as the plants grow, part of the lesson is students will keep track of their progress in their student data notebooks by writing observations and drawing illustrations, and that will be used as a formative assessment. For reading in this unit, my favorite reading lesson was where the students will read a book called Roxaboxen by Alice McLaren. This is a really great book if you're planning to study communities in your classroom, because in this book, the students, or the children in this book, go across the road from their community that they live in and create their own community out in the desert. It's a desert setting. So after reading the book, students will work to evaluate main ideas, setting, characters, and details, and that will all go on an anchor chart. For writing, my favorite writing lesson in the unit, I decided to have students write an opinion piece to the mayor about a new law that is being passed in the community, and it encourages the students to take a stance on the new law and support their opinions with different ideas. For example, you can see on the right, this will be the activity sheet passed out to students. It says, "Students, I am considering passing a new law for our community, but I wanted to get your opinions on the law first. This new law will require every student in our community to go to school on Saturdays to enhance their learning. Please write me a letter that includes your opinion on this new law. It is very important that you include details because those details will be what help me decide what to do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor." And this just says, you have to write a response to the mayor that includes your opinion in the new law, but you have to support your opinion with details and ideas. And it also lists the good characteristics of an opinion essay for students as they start writing. So for PE and communities, there are at least 2 physical education standards incorporated into this unit. The first one comes where students are taking a nature walk on their school's nature trail, and they will pick up pieces of nature that they feel represent their community, and they will create a portfolio out of that. The second lesson that involves PE is focusing on classroom communities and building classroom community through communication games like the human knot game and the telephone game. So for music and communities, music is integrated into this unit in several different lessons. Students sing songs about communities, they sing a landform rap, they even write their own songs about their community after learning about the different parts of the song. So I really think that music is a big part of this unit. So where do we end up? What's going to be the final project for students? Well, one of the final lessons is students will create a diorama of their ideal community. And the diorama will include buildings, natural aspects like landforms, trees, grass, animals. It'll also include citizens and any other decorations that the students choose to use, and that will give students a chance to bring all that they have learned to life. So they learned about the different characteristics of community. They'll be able to represent what type of community that's their ideal community. They will be able to represent like different landforms that they would like to have in their community, what the citizens in their community will be like. So I think that this is a really good hands-on project that gives the students a chance to bring what they learned to life. So the intended impact for this unit is designed to immerse students in the ideas of community while they continue to study curriculum from other subjects, such as science, math, reading, and writing. And while the unit primarily focuses on community that students live in, it also focuses somewhat on the classroom and school community as well. So that's all I have on this community unit. Thank you for watching.